Hugo's revealed new info I've not heard anywhere else about how this can help you prepare for the Dark Ages, the cosmic realm, things we will see, and if there's a connection to Quake. So this is the PlayStation interview. We'll start it out here. He talks about reading everything H.P. Lovecraft has written.
It's just such a cool universe. It's loosely been connected. Well, not loosely, but it's definitely been a part of
Quake.
The id universe, you know.
But is this Doom going to be Quake now or no?
For a while, and I'm not trying to connect Quake with Doom or anything. It's just...
Okay, so the whole thing about the cosmic realm, these have been massive Cthulhu-like creatures. They have Quake DNA, the colors, the types of enemies. Everybody's saying, is this Quake? Why don't they just name this game Quake?
Just, you know, Cthulhu monsters has always been a part of id's DNA.
And it has, because you look at Quake in general, but now maybe they want to bring it here.
Yeah.
Hang on with that thought.
To be able to bring that to Doom was just exciting. You know, I think it's a new faction for the Slayer to fight.
That's a key point, too. A new faction for the Slayer to fight. We fought demons. We fought even the Makers. And now this brings in a third. We know that the Wraiths were a thing there for a while, but now we get to dive in a little deeper and see this connection that the Hell people have with the Wraiths.
There's an alliance, as I said in the blog post and in the video. There's an alliance, a union, an unholy union.
Okay, so we look at the witch that we've seen character. I bet she has tentacles underneath that mask. And maybe Azric. They are pairing up together to form this union. So Azric has something that she wants, and she has something that Azric wants, which is probably power enough to defeat the Slayer. At least my friend Zexy brought that idea up, and I think it's true.
Between the Hell Dimension and the Chaos Realm and Cosmic Realm, I should say. And so, yeah, it's a chance to bring new enemy types, you know, new adversaries, new attack patterns.
Right there is key. It's a chance to bring new enemy types. It lets them open up the net a little, open up that gate to new creatures to fight, which is a whole new attack pattern. Things that they've not gotten to try before, they can do now with the Dark Ages.
You know, new traversals, abilities. It's just a new experience, and our main focus is to make sure that the pace of the game is broken up really well, that it doesn't really fall into a rut.
That's something important too. They said new traversals. I say shield bash because that will take place of the meat hook in a way, not the same way to loop around, but to go to the enemy like a seek and destroy kill.
Of, you know, the same kind of environments with the same sort of
it's different now,
challenges
right?
That the player has to face and overcome level after level that we really, you know, at about the midpoint of the game, which is...
Whoa, let's take a listen to this. If you are away from your computer, you need to hear this. Please listen.
Is where you'll be headed to these places. You're ready for a change. And
wow. That's huge right there. Everybody's talking like Cosmic Realm's the end. You start with the Earth or wherever else, Sentinel areas. You go to the Hell Realm, then finally you fight the big Cosmic Cthulhu demons. Well, this is going to be the midpoint, and I think that's going to be maybe the end game too. This shakes it up. He says you're ready for something new, something different by the mid game, and holy crap. What? I thought this would be late game. Throws us all going crazy. So now we meet the Caco demon and all these people in the mid game, not the late. Blew my mind.
I think Cosmic Realm is going to really bring that for players.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I know, how does the Cosmic Realm sort of distinguish itself from Hell?
This will be good.
In this game.
Let's see what you think about this.
It's very kind of bizarre. Like the laws of physics it felt like the laws of physics that, you know, don't really apply there. Like it opens it up that we're allowed to kind of anything goes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The laws of physics don't apply here. Anything goes. Yet another realm, another way to bring something new and something fresh. Now, if you watch the channel, you know that I don't like to just point and nod and say, yeah, yeah. I like to give context to that. I want to know, we work on this collaboratively, right? Think about the things I say. If there's going to be a new realm, a new dimension, new traversals, what could they do in that regard? They haven't had like Portal Speed Gel or anything like that, but they're cooking up something, aren't they?
There's an air of mystery to everything in the Cosmic Realm.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, nothing really behaves the way you think it would.
That just gives them even more ways to just go wild with stuff.
And that creates opportunities for level designers to make some really interesting and fresh puzzles and spaces for the player to explore.
You know, we had talked about when Doom Eternal came out that meat hook nodes weren't just nodes? What if you could meat hook on the wall? Well, what if you had like this fleshy part of the wall that you could hook something to, maybe one of your shield saw, because in the game, the shield saw is very integral to your movement. You can throw it, it can latch onto something and you can zip over to it, or you can throw it and it breaks a little piece of whatever and the gate, like triggers a gate or something like that. So we're maybe going to see the shield saw ledging into fleshy, cosmic-y walls? I don't know.
So that's been the most exciting thing. And there's an element of water.
Okay.
Most of the Cosmic Realm, with the creatures that are there.
Taras Nabad, water, swimming. We do know we're going to be swimming. I wonder how it's going to be different than Eternal.
There's a sort of an aquatic element to the Cosmic Realm, and we get a chance to explore that in really interesting ways. And with the visual design of the demons. I mean, of course, you're talking H.P. Lovecraft. You've got to have the tentacles.
Yeah, so that's like I talk about the witch. You can tell she has tentacles under her face. She's definitely from that realm. And you look at the water, that's a perfect tentacly realm for squid-like creatures and creepy-looking stuff like that. They're really giving themselves so much more creative freedom by introducing this realm and not just limiting it to what Quake has already established in its IP. They want to take their Lovecraftian creepy stuff and make their own Doomy style of it.
So,
I think so.
It's a lot of like everything is like, invertebrates and mollusks and slime and,
Zoidberg,
acidic
basically.
Green colors and, bizarre silhouettes, and Cyclopean architecture, all the
Cyclopean architecture with the eyes like the world spear. That's why I'm thinking these are wraiths and it's connected to that. It's got to be related to that somehow.
All those good things that you'd expect is there, for the player to explore, and it should be really fun.
I think so. It's a whole nother element we've never seen before.
Total. It's like, this a little about that enemy.
Slayer, it's a great chess piece.
Tell us a little bit more about that enemy. The Cosmic Baron.
Yes, this is going to be
wondering
good.
if you can tell us a little bit more about that enemy.
So the Cosmic Baron is going to shake things up. Let's see what Hugo has to say, and we'll elaborate.
It's a great chess piece. It's right about the time where the player is going to be feeling really confident about themselves. They've, at this point in the game, have invested enough in their kit that they've unlocked just about everything.
That ties back to my point that Cosmic could be in-game as well. Because if you've gotten, and my friend, again, Zexy brought this up, if you've gotten all your equipment, you're at the end of the game, you want to test yourself, that would be a good enemy to do that. Maybe this would be the Marauder of the game. No, not the same like type of attacks and stuff, but the focus and the purpose of this enemy could be the Marauder. Maybe we go, I don't know, this is just interesting to see. There's so much stuff that's left open to make us figure out, like, what could it be?
And so we have shield runes that activate on a successful parry, and those
This is cool.
Provide, some support for the player. Like one of them, it creates like ground fissures that can...
Okay, so let's take a look at this for a second. Support runes that create things for players. We've had support runes in Tag, in Eternal. They didn't really do as much, so maybe they're expanding upon that and adding things that we can do. So it's not going to change the gameplay completely to learn something new, but it's going to enhance it or accentuate the gameplay.
Dagger enemies. Another one is a shoulder-mounted turret. Another one produces ethereal daggers that, spawn around the player and attack, do a lot of AoE damage.
So that could take a simple single target and turn it into an AoE blast. So it takes what we've already learned and expands upon it in a way to keep it fresh.
And stun the enemies as they surround you. So we've got a lot of these crowd control abilities.
Yes. So crowd control with the Marauder was a big issue because when he cornered you, you felt like you couldn't move. You felt like you were stuck by no fault of your own, even though it technically is if you get in that situation. Yeah. But if we have ways to crowd control the enemy, since we know there's going to be huge crowds of them, we need ways to disperse them, to get rid of them in ways. And Hugo addresses this a little more, and it kind of flips the 2016 and Eternal play style on its head. When I first heard him say it, when I listened to this last night, we'll get to there. You need to hear it, though.
You've unlocked at this point, all accessible through the parry. Again, we're always just looking to add depth to the existing inputs, not necessarily, complicate things by adding.
All through the parry. People are going to be like, why is there so much parry focus? Well, that's going to be a big part of the game, and they want to add things to it without overcomplicating it and making it like, I'll have to learn a new button press. It's going to be on your existing button that you've already been using for the whole game.
More inputs. So and you're feeling pretty strong. And then you meet the Cosmic Baron, and he's probably among the most powerful AI in the game. I mean, he is
pretty big.
Is an enemy that will put you on your heels.
So Doom has two types of enemies. There are ranged units and pressure units. A ranged unit is something like a Cacodemon. Well, it's actually both. A Cacodemon, when it's firing from the distance to try to kill you from afar, you are hit by a ranged enemy. A pressure enemy is like a Hell Knight that will come up in your face and make your focus go to him and ignore the Cacodemon pelting you down. That's why in the game design, pressure and ranged units complement each other so well, because they feed off of each other's strengths and weaknesses. Because the Knight will put you in that corner, box you in, not just physically, to make you think like, oh, I have no way to get out, I have to form an escape plan. Mentally, it forces you, because when you're stuck in a tight space, especially if you're claustrophobic, you think, oh, this is not good, I feel so trapped and helpless. That's what the pressure unit does, not just putting you in a tight corner in the game, but putting you in a tight corner in your mind. I just came up with that on the spot, and I am proud of that one. While the ranged unit pelts you from afar. So the Baron looks like in the crowd will be a huge pressure unit to make you think about him, but also distract you from all the other enemies.
You know, and really push you to engage with all the different systems of combat and stand and fight and parry and
everything we've learned.
Weapon types, finding different ways to burn them down as fast as you can to clear them out of the battlefield. You'll want to...
Okay, this is important too. If you're stepping away doing dishes or whatever, check this out. Going to have different ways to burn them down as fast as you can. So there's a difference between DPS, damage per second, and TTK, time to kill. So if you have a weapon that does 99 damage and you have an enemy that has 100 health, if you do 2 shots, boom, boom, and each shot takes 1 second, you're taking 2 seconds to take down the enemy, which 99 and 99 will kill the enemy. You follow me there? I guess it's different from a Pyrrhic victory, which means you expend more resources than you gain. But think about that. The time to kill that enemy is 2 seconds. Or you have a gun that has 99 damage per second, on the shot, but it shoots that quickly. So basically, 2 shots at 50 will do 100, but 1 shot at 99 is enough to kill that enemy. So your time to kill is now 1 second. What this means is that you want to get the TTK down. You want to get that enemy off of the battlefield, and that way it frees up your fighting for somewhere else, even if you have to do whatever it takes to get to that point. Crucible has very low time to kill in Doom Eternal, for example, because it gets them off the field.
You know, a lot of the big pressure units and the strongest AI that we have, you usually want to deal with the smaller enemies first to create space for...
See, that's different. Well, I told you about flipping it on its head, because if you have a group of imps and you have a marauder, typically I deal with the marauder first because he's the one that's demanding my attention the most. So as Hugo's saying, typically you want to get rid of the smaller enemies, leave the larger. Maybe it's encounter dependent, but it's interesting what he has to say for that.
For you to fight those more challenging enemy types, and that's where the sauce is for the game. You know, anytime that you're prioritizing targets in a Doom game, it feels good. If you don't have to prioritize a target, then the game just kind of flatlines. So it's really important that, occasionally, a few times throughout a battle, an enemy introduces itself that commands 100% of your attention.
And that's what they were going for with the Marauder. Like he said, if you have just a bunch of imps and they're all just kind of hanging around, that's not really that exciting, as opposed to if you have, oh, there's a Baron, he is a very big enemy. All the imps are going to complement his attacks. So you have to mentally figure out on the spot what you're going to deal with, when and how, get him off the battlefield, because the longer an enemy is alive, the more chance you have to screw up and then will hurt you, because the longer they're alive, the more mentally you have to deal with, the more pressure that comes in your head, especially on Ultra Nightmare, and then the more trouble you have and the more room for mistakes that you will also be making. So there's a lot of depth mentally and psychologically to this game, and I love it.
That usually means that we're doing something right as designers. The Cosmic Baron, no one commands your attention more than the Cosmic Baron.
Ooh. Yeah, anytime, I see the word Baron in an enemy type with Doom, I know that's
a leader.
I'm going to really have to pay attention to and take care of. You mentioned a little bit about weapons, and I'm curious for the game and why.
I like them all. So,
his favorite weapon.
But your children, I know I'm asking you a tough question. So.
This is a good answer.
Chain shot. During development, it's called a reanimator, but the shipping title is Reaver Chain Shot. And that comes from the Cosmic Realm, and it's incredibly satisfying to use.
That's the gun that you saw in Siege that has the ball and chain. That's where we picked it up in a cave there. And in the trailer footage where it shows it, it's about that same cave. So we might get it early, but it comes from the Cosmic Realm. Why is that connection there?
It's basically a rocket punch. It's a long-range melee weapon. A lot of the game focuses on melee combat, because we wanted to make medieval Doom, and it felt appropriate that your melee would be a big part of that. And this is basically a ball and chain that you fire at the pull of a trigger.
And you'll notice, too, what he says about the short and the long hits. Those are very key, too, because it gives you more flexibility and more decision-making on how to take out each type of enemy.
If you hold down the trigger, you could charge it up and do much more damage. If you upgrade the weapon,
this is cool.
A lot of the progression behind the weapons really steers you into the core loop of the game.
That's nice to hear, isn't it?
Using your shields, your melee, and your guns, and there's a synergy between those, and most of the progression really feeds into that or feeds off of that. So
the upgrades are integral. When I played the game back in March, I didn't put enough focus on upgrades, and I really think that came back to bite me in a way. So it's nice to know that upgrades have the synergy with the combat loop that already exists, so you get to apply it to what you already know rather than it feel like it's out in left field, doesn't really even matter.
For example, with the Reaver, in the beginning you have to charge it up. Hold down the trigger to charge it up.
Learn the systems, yes.
It gets the full charge, you release it, and you do maximum damage. Then later on with the first upgrade, it will automatically charge on a successful parry. So that means that when I'm going mano a mano with like the Cosmic Baron, as he strikes down at me, if I successfully parry his melee strike, then my Reaver's got a full charge and I can use it, during those punish windows.
So what he's talking about there, it's meaning that you find that opening, right? Just like frag grenades and ice grenades on a Cyber Mancubus to going for a blood punch in Eternal, you want to find those openings. You don't just want to shield bash right in their face. I made that mistake way too many times on playtesting with Mancubi, but you want to have that opening, and this gun will let you do that.
In between strikes. So
it's like a boxing
in
match
addition
almost.
to using my melee attacks. So it really becomes this just boxing match.
There you go.
It feels like a fighting game where you're using your guns, your melee, you're parrying, you're countering, and the Reaver really steers into that. And the progression only steers into it more. And then at the very end, a fully charged shot will also deliver a massive AoE blast.
Yes, so they're expanding on it wider, and I don't know if it would be called like vertical versus horizontal, but you're going from a small shot to a full-on stunt, an AoE blast that you can use like a rocket launcher splash to get rid of some of the smaller enemies around. So maybe that can be your way. You focus on the big guy, you get rid of the small too.
So you could start to use it as a crowd control tool.
Crowd control is a great way to say it.
We've designed the weapons so that really all of them are viable. You could stick with the weapon for as long as you like. There's not a lot of instances where you feel like you need to switch away for it for a given situation.
What I like about that is that some guns were not used at all. Like the heavy cannon in 2016 didn't really get a lot of love. Micro missiles in Eternal they don't feel like that they really have the purpose once you have the super shotgun. And now to know that your play style depends on the gun you use, that they're all viable, that they all work, there will surely still be a meta as to what is truly like the best quote unquote for given situations. But just to know that going in mind with the design decisions that they have, they want to open the doors for all types of play styles, all types of players. Accessibility is going to be great for this game. Difficulty sliders. This game will be what you make it. Do you want it to be slow? Then make it slow. Do you think it's always going to be slow? You're wrong.
Certain guns are better for certain situations for sure.
Naturally
like
so.
the Skull Crusher, there's no doubt it's great for crowds. But really all of them, like you could go mano a mano with the Skull Crusher just as easy.
Too, you look at the plasma upgrades, and I believe it was Dinosaur Heretic that called this out, said that one of them is good for close up, like slower firing close up, and the other one's going to be better for longer range. So it really just depends on your upgrades. And are you up close? Are you far away? Slow firing, long firing? Gives you the options.
And we worked hard to make sure that I often describe them as like rhythm guitars. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Like they're always holding down the beat. You always want to use them. And mostly you switch away. Your reason for switching is really comes down to player preference.
That's good to
Again,
hear.
there's some tactical advantages, but mostly it's about player preference. And that is one of my favorite guns.
I'm excited to get.
I'm curious to see it too, how the playstyles are going to evolve and how many different tech we're going to find. You know, because some guns just weren't used that much in the past Doom games.
My hands on it, and as someone who's playing since the beginning, and everything else you build in situations, so I'm excited to see how, you know, and we don't have long to wait. You know, thanks so much that you want to launch
for the combat. It's got the best exploration we've ever killer game
launch.
So there is something that Hugo said that the interviewer from PlayStation said. Is there anything you want to tell people on the way out? See if you agree.
It's a 3-pillar game, so obviously you come for the combat.
It's
got the best exploration we've ever had. There's
so if you're a completionist, Big Mac Davis, 100% style, this is for you.
So much to find and discover, you know, and unlock in every level.
And I can't wait to see the videos of Horde Mode Gaming showing all the news off of Under the Mayo with all the weapon tech and Hump finding various ways to play the game for 1 minute. Just playing.
There's the fantastic pace breakers like the Atlan and the Dragon.
Because if you're going at 90 miles per hour for the whole time, it's going to wear you down mentally, and that's what those white belt encounters are for, as he mentioned, and now we have them in the form of the Atlan, 3 levels, and Dragon, 4-ish.
And it's got a surprisingly, I say surprising for the Doom franchise, the story. Like, story is definitely a pillar in this game.
I have my thoughts as well on that.
And it's a real good one. It's an action story. So as I call it, has that summer blockbuster kind of.
I'm going to have to hold Hugo there because this does feel like, when I tested it, the cutscene felt like a movie. I only got to see the start, but it literally felt like I was watching a movie. It was so interesting to see in the context of a Doom game. It was really cool.
To it, I think you saw from the trailer we just dropped.
Yep.
There's a real adversary. There's some real stakes. And we're excited for fans to experience that as well, because we think that's going to really help elevate the overall experience. It's just been a pleasure to make this game. I mean, it's the kind of game that we'd like to play. I think there's so many good, you know, live service multiplayer experiences out there, and I think it feels good to give the fans a meaty, satisfying, premium single player experience. You know, especially an FPS single player experience.
And that's what it does great. You know, Doom has roots in deathmatch, but honestly, this adversary, these stakes, that's what you need for good storytelling. You need stakes, you need an adversary, and I think Dark Ages is going to deliver.
It's been a blast to make, you know, and it's we love playing it, or the whole team's playing it right now. We're very proud of it, and it's we can't wait for the fans to get their hands on.
That's the thing, they love to play it, so they're going to have pride in bringing it out to us. They don't have a sludge drog making it, so they're going to have fun with it, and we are too. Check out my Cosmic Other trailer breakdown here and subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you for watching.